Tom, Nvidia was the market leader until this summer when it crashed, but I'm not sure if I need to ask you for a specific price target at this point. What do we now require from it? In any case, Nvidia remains a prominent company and remains at the forefront of the transformation that is coming with AI. Long-term investors should, in my opinion, consider Nvidia's congestion and consolidation as chances to increase their holdings if they aren't already. Then, I believe that for everyone else, it's simply a time to exercise patience because stocks don't just rise in value. But there are a few stocks that are rising. Nvidia has increased by roughly 3%. Beginning Wednesday, the business will hold a 3-day summit in Washington. With a 25% increase in the last month, its market capitalization has risen above $3 trillion once again, overtaking Microsoft to take second place, behind only Apple. You told us a sobering story about how even the most powerful, groundbreaking businesses can eventually see a decline in their stock price. This is Microsoft from 1997 to 2006. It took 17 years to break even and basically sat there. Nvidia isn't located here at the moment, is it? We don't believe so, Charles, but we deal with high-net-worth retail investors. And when things are going well, we sometimes forget about the past. I refer to it as the crucible of fear and greed, because everyone wants to be in while things are going well and to be out when they aren't. In order to remind people that Microsoft, the greatest corporation in the last 30 to 40 years, has had some difficult periods, we wrote a little article about the company. Our phones have been ringing nonstop since Nvidia's rise. We've got to have more Nvidia. Although we don't believe we're in a Microsoft scenario. Stocks that have run that quickly typically consolidate because trees don't grow to the sky. Could we be in a parabolic phase here, Todd, using the same chart? If so, there's a substantial difference. Getting out here and getting out there on the way up. People are going to contact you, to your point. Like, how come I'm not in? Naturally, the phones don't ring when it falls, do they? Yes, absolutely. So we've seen Nvidia go sky-high. In June, it went to $140 a share intraday. 2 months later, it was down in the 90s. If hyperscaling persists, extremely high volatility, akin to an earthquake aftershock pattern, will most likely be the typical pattern. We advise our clients to keep their horses, utilize volatility to your advantage, and avoid chasing these equities when they run a lot. It's really exciting. You combine the 4 12-month PE ratios in that sale as well, correct? Here, PE multiples. It's clear that Nvidia is in a class by itself. How much money would you invest in such a venture? For example, would you like to utilize a PG ratio? How much stock do you consider when choosing stocks for the portfolio based only on PE ratios and similar criteria? Although there are many valuation measures available, Nvidia will ping the top bar on all of them if we utilize the poster child for highly expensive equities. Thus, we examine a wide range of topics. This demonstrates how highly valued the AI ecosystem stocks, the white-hot NASDAQ 100, and some of your value brands' superior valuations are. Yes, is there still a deal to be had there in a week when we're expecting a lot of semiconductor news? Whether it's AMD's event or Nvidia's speech down in Washington, D.C., and of course this update with Supermicro. Does the industry still have room for improvement? Once more, I believe you will need to choose stocks. Before the year ends, I don't think it will be shocking to see Nvidia reach new all-time record highs. In a strange sense, Blackwell benefits from the wait since no one wants to be in line and lose out on those chips, which are 2 to 3 times more potent than the ones that are now available. For that reason, we actually like Nvidia through the end of the year, which is rather paradoxical. I've been fairly forthright in my belief that an AI digestion phase is imminent. In my opinion, it will occur in the first half of 2025. When that happens, I believe you're going to have a major issue because the corporations that have been investing so much money in AI have seen their sales decline rather than increase. By that, what do I mean? 3 of the 4 largest spenders on AI infrastructure, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, all saw a decline in their forward revenue projections following the June quarter, which is why those stocks saw some problems. You will therefore experience a digesting phase unless you can see that all of the expenditures are converted into income. Additionally, since these same customers absorbed all of the COVID spend, Nvidia's revenues dropped by more than 20% year over year after rising by more than 80% in the previous year. Although Nvidia is somewhat complex, I believe there is a good chance that it will set new records before the year ends. Looking at Nvidia today, you can see that the semiconductors saw a 21% decline from that peak on June 16 to 17. Despite increasing rates, we have already increased by nearly 10% since the September 6th lows. Furthermore, it is evident from a chart of Nvidia, or the CMOS, that they eventually recovered from the lower end of that upward trend. Carter undoubtedly has an opinion about this. Returning to the index level, the markets have been searching for leadership, and semiconductors have provided it. This has led the Nasdaq, which has in turn led the S&P. In the meantime, Nvidia's stock is up around 3% today, marking its fourth consecutive day of gains. It is currently up less than 10% from its peak and more than 40% from its lowest points on August 5. This morning, the chipmaker began its three-day AI summit. The stock continues to be rated as overweight by Morgan Stanley. I believe it was a super micro maneuver guy. If you throw up on that one, well, we've discussed it. You're in this pennant formation at Nvidia, and I believe Carter mentioned it last week. One way or another, it will break. Even though it appears to be breaking to the upside today, I still believe this pennant to be intact. I believe the stock closed over $140 on June 20th, then reversed, which is the level of the formation Tim kind of hinted at. That's intriguing. The topic of which way it breaks has not yet been addressed. Out of this pennant, will it break to the upside or the bottom? The activity of today points to the future, but it's not there yet, so we'll see. Additionally, I believe there are two equities in Nvidia versus Apple debate where I would stick with Carter, and I don't think Apple has very high expectations. We know Nvidia is fantastic, however, we've recently had some production problems. The business has returned and essentially told us that demand will be quite high in the fourth quarter. I then returned to the stock and discussed some of the market factors that, in addition to those unique to Nvidia, have contributed to its superior performance. I believe there is less concern about that multiple here, and I believe the macro supports Nvidia and the stocks where you have growth. The question, "Oh, you're in the investment business. What do you think about Nvidia?" is asked by everyone you meet, and I mean everyone. Additionally, some individuals are unaware of what Nvidia is. Do you not think that has somewhat subsided? Sure, but that's a good thing. The market is healthier as a result. It's similar to GameStop. We all ought to own GameStop, according to what the person cutting our hair told us. Not in my opinion. The same logic applies here. You need something more comprehensive, and the specialist purchasing these stocks. I mean, we are familiar with the businesses we are purchasing. Not only is the S&P index rising, but other buying is also taking place. I'm not saying that we won't continue to have Nvidia earnings watch parties. They will still go place. However, it seems that some of the zeal surrounding it has subsided, which is positive. You might say that's excellent, I suppose. A chipmaker, Cerebras, has filed for an initial public offering, IPO, outside of the metacaps. They might challenge Nvidia. That company was valued at $4 billion in the most recent fundraising round. Benchmark, Coatue, Altimeter, and Sam Altman are among the backers. They intend to list on the Nasdaq. I'm not sure, according to BOA today, the most owned.